So we're going to move into the next module here, and we're going to talk about cancer. It's not a fun topic. It's not a topic that I would like to even have to present on, but unfortunately, it is probably one of the most relevant modules to every one of us. So I want to spend time. We're going to spend several weeks on this module because of the importance, because of how prominent this health issue is within our society. Unfortunately, it is present. And with more awareness, hopefully, as a society, we can work together to decrease this. So, to get to the SMART book or the relevancy module content over this, go into the relevancy modules, go to DNA cell division, hit the drop down, go to cancer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what cancer is, the basic concept or basic biology behind cancer. We'll look at some of the statistics. We'll talk about risk, things we do that potentially increase risk. And are there things we can do scientifically shown, or that has been shown scientifically, to decrease our risk? And if, unfortunately, someone was to be diagnosed, what's the best strategy? What's the best plan to dealing with this? So, trying to find the bright spots here. Our knowledge and awareness of cancer is growing constantly. We have global organizations working to get rid of this, to be able to identify it, to detect it early, and to treat it. It's a global effort. Cancer is not just a United States issue. It's not just a Canadian issue or a German issue. It's a global issue. Every society, people are getting sick and being diagnosed with cancer. We want to figure out what we can do to decrease this. So when you look at the module, I encourage you guys, go in, read the content of the module. It's not that much. It's not an extensive little piece of information. It's 5-6 pages worth of content. When you're looking at it, you're going to come across a picture here of the young man. And what they're trying to say is, all right, here's a young person who can get cancer. So the movie The Fault in Our Stars was based on two teenagers who got cancer. It's not just an old person's disease. It's not something that only happens to grandparents and great-grandparents and older adults. We see this happening across the age spectrum. Now, the risk of younger individuals getting it is much less, but it doesn't mean we ignore it. Okay, so when we use the word cancer, what we want to think about is, what is it? Oh, wrong thing, sorry. What is cancer? Sorry about that, hit the wrong button. Was aiming for the text box. Okay, so we start out with this idea of what is cancer? Now, when we talk about this, you're going to hear a lot of different terms, a lot of different definitions. At the basic fundamental foundation, cancer, oh, I need to change our font, sorry. Let me get this a lot bigger so it's easier for us to see it. Let's get that to there, and let's get better color. Cancer is a group of cells that don't follow the cell rules. That's what it is. It's a group of cells. They're not playing by the rules. They're not behaving correctly. They are, I don't want to say going rogue, they're doing something different. So some of the things cancer cells do that create problems. But if we understand this, it gives us the knowledge for treatment. First thing cancer cells will do is they will ignore this thing called contact inhibition. This means they don't stop dividing. Normal cells, when they're growing and they're replicating, I'm going to put it up here, they will divide, 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 and then when they bump into other cells, they stop. They say, okay, that's as big as I can get. So think about if you've cut yourself, those cells repair, they heal, they're dividing. So the skin cells are making new copies, and then once the injury is healed, they stop dividing. They have signals that tell them to stop dividing. Cancer doesn't. It ignores it. This is why it keeps growing. It keeps growing. It keeps growing. It doesn't stop. Knowing this is why early recognition is so critical. Don't ignore it. If you have that growth you think might be cancerous, go get checked. Because if I'll just ignore it. I'll ignore it. Now, it's grown so much, it spreads. Metastasis is the spreading of cancer. It started in one location, grew so much it ran out of room there, broke off little pieces, and spread throughout the body. This is why it's so critical to identify it and stop it before it can spread. Because if it gets into the lymphatic system that runs through most of the body, cancer started maybe in one location and then all of a sudden, like it jumped down the highway and all of a sudden it's in 3 or 4 other locations. So if we can stop it before metastasis, treatment options are far, far more successful. Cancer steals blood or blood supply from healthy tissue. It reroutes it, sends out signals, sends out hormones that are produced by the cancer cells to say, redirect your blood vessel to the tumor. So now it gets its energy, its nutrients. Those tissues grow, other tissues starve to death. Again, it gives us a treatment possibility. Can we block angiogenesis? Can we starve to death that cancer cell? What can we do to prevent angiogenesis from happening? Cancer cells don't die. Most cells go through the cell cycle about 50 times and then they die. That's a normal cell. Hair, skin, muscle, nerve, etc. Lots of these cells spin through the cycle, and then after so many replications, the original cell just self-detonates and breaks down and dies. Cancer cells don't. They will not die. So if we don't kill them or get rid of them, they don't go away. So again, treatments, we'll get into this later. They don't die. Can we find a way to make sure that they die? So sadly, this is, as I mentioned earlier, an unfortunately very, very relevant topic for all of us. It does not matter that you're not a biology major. The sad statistics are all of us will be dealing with this at some point. It may not be you personally. Hopefully it's not. I don't wish ill on anyone here. But it could be a friend. It could be a family member. It could be us, any of us. It could be our pets. Cats and dogs can get cancer. Other animals can have these health issues. So looking at the big statistics, and these are the numbers we want to change. Approximately 1 out of 3 people will get some form of cancer. So I look at my family. How many people are, just making up an easy number, 9 people in my immediate family. 3 of us will have this at some point in our lives. Maybe it's when we're in our 60s, 70s, 40s, teens, but 1 out of 3 people. So awareness of this is so important. Now, when we talk about cancer types, you hear different terms: breast cancer, cervical cancer, colorectal. The type of cancer indicates where it originated. That's how we identify it. All right, if you have breast cancer, originates typically in the milk ducts of the breast tissue. Cervical cancer, the lining of the cervix. Colorectal, large intestine. Usually it's towards the end of the large intestine where it's connecting to the outside. Leukemia, blood cells, bone marrow. Lymphoma, the immune system. That's that lymphocyte issue. Melanoma, skin cells. Melanin producing skin cells, those are the cells on your skin that produce your tan. This is the number 1 most common cancer type out there. So melanomas. Ovarian, cancer of the ovaries. Sarcoma, connective tissue like bone or muscle. Testicular cancer. Thyroid cancer. There are others, but these are the predominant ones we see in our society right now. So what we hope to do is change this statistic. 1 out of 3 of us. Can we work together as a society, as a group of people concerned about the health of all, to change that number? Can we move it to 1 out of 4? Can we move it to 1 out of 5? Can we keep moving that number and pushing it further and further? 1 out of 10 people get this. That's what we're hoping to do with research, with support, with effort, is to change the game on cancer. If you're interested in more details, deeper than what we're going to do in this lecture, there are plenty of resources out there for credible information. And this is part of that very first lecture about process of science, understanding source validity. Don't go to Facebook. Don't go to TikTok and people's blogs. They can present good information, but is it science-based? Maybe, maybe not. I would trust something like Cancer Society, American Cancer Society's website. That's where you're going to get your science. American Journal of Medicine, New England Journal of Medicine. Those are the places, if you want science-based information, I would encourage you to go. So here's just some big broad information numbers. I'm not going to test you guys on these numbers. It's just more for the, okay, what are we talking about with scale here? There will be approximately 1.9 million. Oh, sorry, I can't write this really well. 1.9 million new cases of cancer in the US this year. Each year it's about 1.9, 1.8, 2.1-ish. It's roughly in that range for cases. Sadly, when we look at deaths, there's approximately 609,000 deaths. Oh. Using a mouse to write is terrible. About 609,000 deaths a year. That's a lot of people. Can we work together to change these numbers? We have to start with more awareness. So in the next part, we'll start talking about how do we identify it, what are some of the most predominant types, and then how does cancer work?